The ACT Party wants offenders as young as 11 to wear ankle bracelets to monitor their movements. It's in response to an announcement from the government to bring down youth crime by extending education and employment programs. But what do those most impacted by this kind of crime think? Owner of the Everglade Foursquare, Karag Singh, and Waikato retailer Ash Palmer join us this morning. Thank you both very much for being with us. I want to talk to you both about your experiences with crime. If I can start with you, Karag. Have you been ram raided?
Yes, a few times.
A few times?
Yeah.
And what kind of damage does that do to your shop, but also to you as a person and how you feel about your safety at work?
Yeah, I've been in the game for the last 27 years. So first in the beginning of our business takeover, so there's not much security around, no roller doors. It's basically a nice new shopping block. And landlord would not agree to put the roller doors to spoil the look of the block. So obviously that opens up the chance for the criminals to get in straight in. So then we had a ram raid. And that was the most toughest time in the early stages of your business, basically, because you don't have the excess money sitting around and to invest on the security systems. But then we had no choice to get the roller doors in. And yesterday morning, 4 o'clock, and 9 youth came in and tried the same thing, cut the outside locks. But then our security is quite up now.
Right, so they attempted to get into your store through the roller door. Yeah. I think, I'm not sure if we have footage of that, because there was CCTV that showed them trying to get in and they couldn't.
Yeah, there was a CCTV footage there available, so which I think was plastered over New Zealand Herald yesterday. And so there were 9 total, 2 carloads, 4 o'clock in the morning. And then they had the bolt cutters cut the lock from outside. But because of my experience, it happened before, so we lock our roller doors from inside into the concrete as well, which they didn't have any knowledge of.
Right, but you have to be in a situation to be able to afford that security, right? Ash, can I come to you? Have you had any incidents with ram raiders?
Well, our stores in the Waikato were hit back in July. We got 2 stores in 2 towns close to each other, and the key thing for us was they didn't actually get in the shop, but we were left with $35,000 plus GST of repair bills and increased security we got to spend money on, which is a complete waste of money, in my humble opinion. That money doesn't necessarily have to stay in my back pocket or the insurance company's back pocket, but it's just a waste of money and resource. And the trauma and the mental health problems all this causes is you can't put dollars and cents on it at all. It's very bad, obviously, why we're having this discussion this morning.
Yeah, absolutely. How do you feel then about the suggestion to put ankle bracelets on repeat offenders as young as 11 to 14?
So the key issue here is, like, the top Waikato police officers we've directly spoken to as retailers, they've alluded to the fact there is a core group of 15 to 20 youth offenders who are doing the crime again and again, some up to 20, 30, 40, 50 offences now. That group in particular needs to be ankle bracelet, so police at night knows they've left the house, because clearly the adult in the house has no idea where the kid is going. So the policeman or the Justice Department knows these kids have left the house yet and again. Maybe I'm being a bit naive here, but in my humble opinion, a little trigger should go off that this little group of 3 people, or young people, kids, have left the house, because it's too late by the time they've stolen a car and ram raided a shop. Like this morning, there's another shop in Hamilton that's been ram raided at 1:30 in the morning, and it's just too late already. So I'm happy to listen to if there's any other ideas, but at the least just start tracking the highest offenders who've racked up 20, 30, 40 offences, and they're clearly not going to stop, because going to court doesn't matter to them. The parents clearly don't care, or the adult in the house. But as a retailer or community, we need something right now, not 2 years down the line or 5 years down the line, but something needs to happen right now. And it's just not a dairy and a liquor store issue now. You guys have seen the jewellery stores are getting hit and the mall. The government has been conveniently saying, we'll take cigarettes out of the shops. All this will stop, but they're going after everything now. And we warned them
moving on,
2 years ago when we were talking about it.
Yeah. Carter, do you agree in terms of putting ankle bracelets on 11 to 14-year-olds?
I think there has to be a better solution. I think child psychologist has to be involved, and what ankle bracelets going to do to the kid at age of 11. So I'm trying to say is, I will say more onus has to be put on. There has to be some uncle, some auntie, some parent who loves that kid, who's out there causing this havoc. Surely there has to be some way in the system which we need to control these kids. And I don't know, I'm not in a favor of ankle bracelet at age of 11, to be honest with you, because they're still child. They won't have the full, feel of that. What does that feel like? So.
Ash, the government announced yesterday that they would kind of extend these kinds of programs that Karag is talking about in terms of community support and counselling, I guess, for young people. But this is only for South and West Auckland at the moment. You're joining us this morning from the Waikato. How do you feel about those announcements?
I think, again, it goes right to that point. We're looking to do something in the long term. You know, these things will take a while because, like, look, the issue at the moment is the same child is getting picked up. They've done the crime tonight, but from my humble opinion, that within the 2-3 days, they're back on the street doing it again. I'm very specifically looking for solutions to minimize. I know we're not going to stop it, but minimize that part of it. And obviously, there's been no announcement for us in that regard. But also, I think putting a little bit more sellotape around the issue is not going to help, because clearly those agencies were already there trying to help these kids, and they haven't been able to change their opinion or their ways of operating or getting the parents to listen. So putting another layer around it, I really think is not going to do anything in short to medium term at all, because these kids are going to be out on the street again. So my focus specifically now, and speaking on behalf of some of the other Waikato retailers, is how we're going to make it stop or slow down at least, because we had a vicious robbery in Hamilton on Saturday night. I don't know if you guys saw, right next to a pub full of dinner people and people watching the All Black game. There's 8 kids have run into the Super Value and done an armed robbery, showing knives and all that kind of stuff. That's really serious. We are being too, I would like to say polite. The politicians are being too polite. We need to get really serious, and I disagree with Karag. An 11-year-old with ankle bracelet, that kid has already taken a vicious path. They are becoming very violent. They are becoming quite vicious. So it's easy to say they're an 11-year-old, but they are not acting like a child you and I used to know.
We are
so
seeing
we need to get a little bit more
offenders,
tough.
aren't we? Yeah. Owner of the Everglade Foursquare, Karag Singh, thanks very much for being with us. And Waikato retailer Ash Palmer, I appreciate your time too. Should also point out that a release from the Dairy and Business Owners Group has come up with several ideas, saying they want the Prime Minister, off the back of her Christchurch call meetings when she goes over to the UN, to suggest that social media channels also remove and block accounts of anyone posting online that they have ram-raided or, targeted a small business. Take their phones off them, something Christopher Luxon said he was open to this morning, and require social media accounts to be closed and deleted. Feedback at aimshow.co.nz. Love to hear your thoughts.